Is your pet up to date on its rabies vaccination? Animal Control Director Dr. John Lauby speaks about the dangers of this deadly virus and the importance of making sure your dog, cat, or ferret is protected. During April, the Department of Public Health and Animal Control will conduct rabies vaccination clinics in various locations throughout Cumberland County, and we encourage citizens to take advantage of these low-cost clinics.
The rabies virus is a type of virus called a rhabdovirus that is spread from the wild animal population. It can actually be spread from any mammal, which is a warm-blooded animal, to humans. The primary method of spreading it is through a bite. Usually it comes from a bite from domestic animals where they've been exposed to rabies and then they end up biting or scratching their owners. The vaccination of your pet is the only method that to provide a barrier between the human population and the wild animal population. It's the method, it's the best method of protecting your family and protecting your pet from the rabies virus. It's a simple vaccine, it's inexpensive. You can get it done most any local veterinary clinic can do it, or veterinary office. There's also clinics that the county holds in the month of April throughout the county, so low-cost clinics where you can get the vaccination of your pets done there. But it's extremely important to vaccinate your pet to protect your pet and to protect your family from the spread of rabies. In Cumberland County, we have a lot of problems with animals roaming at large, where people let their pets out to go to the bathroom or something. They live near a wooded area and the dog or the cat goes out into the woods, and it can become exposed and the owner of the pet never know it. So if it's exposed, it comes back into the household, then it can expose the entire family to the possibility of rabies. And so vaccinating your dog or cat is the most important thing that you can do to protect your family. We have a large dog and cat population in Cumberland County, approximately 150,000 dogs and 100,000 cats in our county, and today we probably only have 40,000 animals vaccinated against rabies, which means the citizens of our county are exposing their families and pets to the possibility of getting rabies, and that's what we're trying to prevent. That's the main goal and mission of animal control, is to assist the public in preventing the spread of rabies. In wild animals, what we see are things, are changes in behavior primarily. For instance, there are high-risk vectors and low-risk vectors in the wild animal population. That means there are high risk of spreading rabies, and those are primarily the bat, the raccoon, the fox, and the skunk. So those animals are usually animals that don't associate with humans. And when you see changes in behavior, like a fox normally would not come out of the woods and come into your yard and look at you, stand there and look at you when you come out of your house or you get out of your car. If you see changes in behavior of these animals, animals that are normally only out at night that are out in the daytime, anything like that, they can become very aggressive, or they can be absolutely just paralytic, where they're in the stages of rabies where they can't move any of the muscles of their body. So they just either lay on the ground, or sometimes they bite at inanimate objects like rocks or fences or trees or things like that. From the time of exposure till the time of clinical signs and actually exhibiting rabies is about 6 days, 6 to 9 days on the average. In general, the animals that we deal with, when you're dealing with if a wild animal, or for instance, if a dog is exposed to a positive rabies animal, if it's vaccinated and protected, you end up revaccinating that dog immediately. If a dog has bitten somebody, like a child or a human, and they end up, we have to quarantine it. you'll see, if it was shedding the rabies virus during the bite, you'll actually see clinical signs within 3 to 5 days. We quarantine them at the shelter for 10 days because CDC in Atlanta wants us to double that time frame of 3 to 5 days. So we go out to 10 days. But the reality is if a dog has clinical rabies or a cat has clinical rabies and it bites you, it will be showing signs of rabies and actually die within 5 days. We have a problem in Cumberland County where we have a lot of wooded areas and a lot of houses near the woods, and people think that it's cute to, they actually feed raccoons and try to get the raccoons tamed to where they can pet them. And consequently you get, that's a very, very bad thing to do. Raccoons will come, if you're anybody living out in the country or near wood lines, they'll know if you leave food out, raccoons will come on your porch and eat it. If you leave it in a garbage can with a lid on it, if you don't build a frame around it and raccoon-proof they will climb on top of it, turn it over, pull the lid off, and eat your dog or your cat food or whatever's in it. So it's just, these are the animals that spread rabies. It's really crazy to want to try to touch these animals or domesticate them. They're wild animals, and we should advise all our citizens to not feed these animals. Don't try to make contact with them, and for goodness sakes, advise your children to stay away from these animals if they see them. The state law in Cumberland, or in North Carolina, requires that all animals over 4 months of age are vaccinated for rabies. So dogs, cats, and ferrets. So they're required by state law to do it. You can, any veterinary clinic in the county, there's approximately 22 veterinary clinics all over the county. They can all vaccinate your animal, your dog, cat, or ferret for rabies. We have annual rabies clinics, and there are also groups, organizations that will do, that hold low-cost rabies clinics around the county during the year. So there's multiple avenues. It's just, it's very important that the citizens of Cumberland County understand that vaccinating their pet is the method of protecting their family from rabies. If the animal is not vaccinated for rabies, it has to either be euthanized immediately or it has to be quarantined for 6 months. And as you well know, the pets in Cumberland County are family members, and people get very upset when they hear this. And they should know that if you don't vaccinate your pet and it's exposed to a positive rabid animal, it will either have to be put to sleep or it will have to be quarantined for 6 months at a local veterinary clinic, which costs upwards of $12,000. So for a $10 rabies vaccine or a $20 rabies vaccine, very inexpensive protection for the citizens of our county and their families, just to get their animals vaccinated, and don't let them roam at large. Letting your dog out to go to the bathroom in an unfenced yard where the dog just roams the neighborhood causes problems for your neighbors, for animal control, and it exposes your pet to the possibility of getting rabies. We have animal control officers on the road 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call, if the incident happens during the daytime before 5 o'clock, they can call animal control at 321-6852 and report the incident, and we'll send an animal control officer out. If it happens after hours, on weekends, or on holidays, they call the Sheriff's Department at 323-1500, and the Sheriff's Department will dispatch an animal control officer to their home.